I can tell you one thing. I hate Wednesday. Hump day is one of the worst days of the week. It got even worse when the security guard leaned over the front desk. They told me to send you upstairs, he said, apologetic, as if I had misplaced my name. I had been at Larkspur long enough to watch the lobby plants get replaced more often than the executives. My title had changed like a marketing slogan, but my job never did. Keep the wheels turning while other people posed for internal newsletters. Upstairs, I passed the wall of framed milestones. Half of them existed because I had caught problems before they turned into headlines. I adjusted my bag and followed the guard to a conference room with frosted glass and the faint smell of lemon cleaner. Clint from People Operations sat there with a folder and a grin that looked mass-produced. Next to him sat my manager, Dwayne Harlow, staring at a paper cup as if it held legal advice. A third chair waited for me like a trap with armrests. Tessa, thank you for joining, Clint said, as if I had shown up for snacks. I sat. The chair squeaked in protest. Clint clasped his hands. As part of our effort to recalibrate resources and accelerate cross-team velocity, your role has been identified as duplicative. Duplicative. That word is corporate perfume sprayed over a garbage fire. I looked at Dwayne. He nodded once, weakly, without meeting my eyes. You are laying me off, I said. Clint blinked. We prefer to say your position is being sunset. Adorable, I said. Do sunsets get severance? Clint's smile tightened. In your case, severance is not applicable. I had been here for years. I had built processes that kept this place from eating itself. I had trained half the managers in the room they now used for quiet betrayals. And now I was not applicable. Dwayne cleared his throat. It is just how it is, Tess. That is not an explanation, I said. Clint slid the folder forward, the way a magician slides a hat before pulling out nothing. We will need you to return your badge and exit the premises immediately. I opened the packet. Final pay language, a glossy sheet about next chapter support, and a confidentiality agreement stapled to the back like an afterthought with teeth. I never signed a non-disclosure agreement when I started here, I said, tapping the page. Not then, not later. Clint stood, smile intact. This is standard. Security will escort you. Please keep it efficient. Dwayne finally lifted his eyes. They were watery, guilty, and professionally unhelpful. Do not make it hard, he murmured. I let out a short laugh. Hard? I have been making this company easy since before your leadership style learned to use buzzwords. Clint gestured toward the door. I gathered my things, notebook, mug, and the tiny desk plant that had survived every reorg. We walked through the hallway. People stared, then pretended they were not staring, which is the corporate version of sending a condolence card without a stamp. At the elevator, Clint said, "We appreciate your contributions." Then you should have priced them correctly, I said. The doors closed, and in the mirrored panel I saw my face, calm, alert, and already drafting the kind of lesson that gets mentioned in board meetings as a cautionary tale. The escort was theatrical in the way bad theater is theatrical. Too much confidence, not enough talent. A guard I had once helped reset his payroll login trailed behind me with the solemnity of a parade. At my desk, I did not cry. I packed. Notebook, mug. The plant I named Francis because it thrived on neglect, like most corporate priorities. Clint hovered, watching my hands, as if I might pocket a stapler and topple civilization. You can leave the laptop, he said. Company property. So was my overtime, I said. But you have been using that for free. He did not laugh. People like Clint only laugh when a slide deck tells them to. I unclipped my badge and set it on the desk with a gentle tap that felt like closing a chapter. Then I looked at him and said it again, slow enough to be unmistakable. I never signed a non-disclosure agreement. You cannot claim I violated what I never agreed to. Clint's smile stayed frozen. You will be fine. We are done. Please leave immediately. Dwayne's voice floated from the doorway. Just go, Tess. There it was, the assumption that years of loyalty had trained me to obey. I carried my box down the hallway, past places where my effort lived like fingerprints. The break area I kept stocked because nobody else noticed. The conference room where I rescued last-minute reports so Dwayne could vanish for family commitments. The glass wall covered in company values that read like a comedy script. Outside, the air was cold and blunt. My car waited in the garage below. My phone buzzed with a notification from my brokerage app, one I had set long ago and forgotten. When I joined Larkspur and Company, the company was smaller and eager to look generous. They offered shares as part of compensation, like candy for people willing to bet on growth. I took them. Every year after that came refresh grants, retention grants, thank you for surviving another reorg grants. I never sold. I kept them tucked away for a future I assumed would arrive gently. Instead, the future arrived with Clint and his folder. I paused near the stairwell and opened the app. My holdings loaded. The share count stared back at me, ridiculous and real. The ownership percentage beside it made my stomach flip. I did not own a cute little employee sliver. I owned a chunk, a board-level problem. They had never audited the early grants properly. In all my years, I watched finance chase pennies while ignoring the equity ledger like it was haunted. I scrolled to the sell screen. My thumb hovered. Behind me, Clint's shoes clicked faster. Tessa, you need to exit now. I am, I said, eyes on the screen. I am just doing one more task. He leaned in, trying to see my phone. You are not authorized to access internal systems. This is not your system, I said. This is the market, and it does not respect your tone. I pressed sell. The confirmation wheel spun for a breath, then the order submitted. I did not stop walking. Box in one arm, phone in the other, I headed down toward the garage like a woman leaving for lunch, not a woman converting their negligence into a very expensive lesson. The garage smelled like exhaust and old concrete, the official perfume of corporate independence. My heels clicked down the ramp while my phone refreshed, a tiny glowing courtroom where numbers decided winners without asking permission. The first order filled quickly. Then a second alert appeared. Partial execution, remaining shares pending. I did not hesitate. I had learned over years of watching leadership circle back that hesitation is where they hide the knife. I opened another sell ticket and selected the rest. All of them. The screen asked if I was sure, like it cared about my feelings more than Larkspur ever had. Yes, I was sure. I walked past the executive parking spaces painted with names. The CEO, Warren Klein, had his own spot and a sign that said, "Reserved for Vision." I had always wanted to add a smaller sign underneath. Vision, not available for questions. My car sat farther away because I was not important enough for painted concrete. Distance gave me time, and time gave my shares time to become cash. My phone vibrated again. Another fill. The numbers climbed. I felt a clean joy rise, the kind that comes from math finally siding with you. The app flashed an estimated payout that made my eyebrows lift, like they had just been promoted. I reached my car, set the box in the passenger seat, and kept the phone in my hand. The app showed my position shrinking, the company's ownership returning to the ocean like a tide. A shout echoed from the garage entrance. Tessa! I turned. Through the opening, I saw Warren Klein himself, suit jacket flapping, sprinting with several board members behind him. Their faces looked shocked, as if someone had just told them actions have settings. Warren waved an arm. Stop her! Security rushed in. One guard recognized me and slowed, confused, as if his brain could not compute that the woman who fixed his benefits portal was suddenly an emergency. Warren pointed at me again. Do not let her leave. I slid into the driver's seat, hit the door lock, and started the engine. My phone chimed. Order complete. I held it up like a trophy. Then I did the pettiest thing I have ever done. I connected my phone to the car speakers. Music flooded the garage. Not the dramatic movie kind. The cheerful, ridiculous kind. a bouncy pop song about freedom and poor decisions. The bass thumped against the concrete as Warren and his entourage ran closer, mouths open, shouting words I could not hear over my soundtrack. I backed out slowly, because I am polite, and because watching a CEO jog is an underappreciated comedy. One board member tried to block my lane with his body. He stepped in front of the car, then reconsidered when he saw my expression and remembered that I had already been told to leave immediately by an HR man who thought empathy was a liability. He stepped aside. I drove toward the exit gate. Warren slapped the hood as I passed, like a man trying to stop the tide with his palm. Security shouted something. I waved with two fingers. The gate lifted. By the time Larkspur remembered how much equity they had shoved into my compensation years ago, my taillights were already disappearing into daylight. I drove like a person obeying the law and violating expectations. The music kept bouncing, and I kept smiling, which felt unfamiliar, like wearing someone else's jacket. At a stoplight, I pulled up the order history again, just to confirm reality had not decided to prank me. There it was. The settlement amount from the sale, rendered in crisp digits with commas that looked like confetti. A few $1 million. Not nice vacation money. Not pay off some debt money. Your CFO just aged 10 years money. I laughed out loud, alone in my car, and then laughed again because it sounded better the second time. For years, Larkspur had treated equity like a decorative sticker. They tossed shares into offer letters when they were desperate, refreshed grants when they wanted loyalty, and then forgot to count them the way people forget the calories in office donuts. No one bothered to add up what those early promises became after I stayed, year after year, while leadership rotated like a lazy carousel. I stayed through product pivots, budget cuts, and one particularly unhinged executive retreat called the Velocity Vineyard Experience, where Warren made everyone stomp grapes and then used the word synergy while wearing linen. I stayed because the work mattered, because my team mattered, because I believed competence should eventually be rewarded. Apparently, it was. Just not by them. My phone began to buzz again, not with market alerts this time, but with incoming calls. First one, then another, then a rapid sequence like my phone was trying to vibrate itself into another dimension. Clint. Dwayne. An unknown number that I knew was Warren because the universe has a sense of irony. I ignored them all and turned the music up. I was not being dramatic. I was being consistent. They had said leave immediately, and I was honoring the only instruction they had delivered without ambiguity. By the time I reached home, my dashboard clock had not even had time to feel smug. I parked, carried my box inside, and set it on the kitchen table like an offering to my future self. Then I looked at my phone. 16 missed calls, 44 emails, 22 text messages, 8 voicemails. All from people who had, moments earlier, decided I did not deserve severance. The texts were a greatest hits album of corporate panic. Can we talk? This is urgent. Please call me. We may have misunderstood. One board member, whose name I only knew from memos, wrote, "We value your partnership." Partnership. That word landed like a clown car on a tightrope. I opened one voicemail. It was Warren, breathing hard, voice sweetened to the point of nausea. Tessa, there has been a misunderstanding with your equity. We need you to return immediately so we can correct this in a collaborative way. Security will help you re-enter. Re-enter. Like I had wandered out by accident. I listened to another. Same message, different mouth. Panic wearing polite sentences. I did not call back. I made tea. I watered Francis, who looked impressed. I sat on the couch and watched my inbox swell. Somewhere in that glass building, Warren was learning a basic truth. You cannot lay off a woman who owns a significant portion of your company and expect her to leave quietly. You can, however, watch her leave loudly, with music, with a smile, and with your valuation wobbling behind her like a shopping cart with one broken wheel. By late morning, the messages evolved from pleading into bargaining. which is how corporate guilt behaves when it realizes it cannot buy an apology. Clint emailed with the subject line, "Quick clarification." Inside, he wrote that the company wished to revisit the separation terms and extend a goodwill package. Goodwill. Like they were mailing me a fruit basket and not trying to reverse a multi-million-dollar mistake. Dwayne texted, "We can fix this. Just come in for a conversation." A conversation. The last one ended with him watching me get marched out like I had stolen my own work. Warren's messages were the most entertaining. He alternated between syrup and smoke. "We appreciate your tenure. We value you. This impacts shareholders." The final one read, "You are exposing the company to reputational risk." I stared at that line until I started laughing again. I was not exposing them to risk. I was exposing them to arithmetic. I finally replied, not because they deserved it, but because I wanted a receipt. I opened a new email and typed, "Hello. As part of my ongoing effort to recalibrate my personal resources and accelerate my peace, your request has been identified as duplicative. In my case, returning is not applicable. Please keep this efficient." Then I added one more sentence. Standard policy. I hit send and felt something in my chest unclench. The phone rang again almost immediately. I let it go to voicemail because I enjoy consequences with background music. The begging returned, now decorated with phrases like urgent board discussion and temporary reinstatement. Temporary reinstatement is corporate for, "We need you to sign something before you can breathe again." I did not go back. I did not even put on real pants. Instead, I did what I had always done at Larkspur. I read the fine print. Owning a significant portion of their stock meant I was not just a former employee. I was a shareholder with questions. I drafted a formal request for the minutes from the last board meeting and the written rationale for my termination. Short, polite, and guaranteed to ruin someone's afternoon. Then I did something petty and healing. I ordered a custom metal sign online, the same size as the one in Warren's parking spot. Mine read, "Reserved for consequences." I had it shipped to my house because I love decor with a theme. That evening, a former coworker messaged me from an account that looked suspiciously new. "They are running around like raccoons in a trash can," she wrote. "Warren just asked if we can undo stock sales." I replied, "Sure," right after they undo gravity. The next day, the board chair, Nadine Caro, emailed me personally and offered a role of strategic significance. The same people who told me I did not deserve severance were now offering me a fancy title like a sticker on a bruise. I declined with one line, "I am currently sunset." Then I poured cereal into a bowl, saluted Francis with my spoon, and admired my new bank balance. Revenge, it turns out, does not have to be loud. Sometimes it is just you, in your own kitchen, eating breakfast, while a CEO somewhere sprints through a garage in his mind, forever trying to catch a decision that already cleared.